Okay, sorry. I was just checking the sound of the car versus my voice. I'm going to have to turn that down just a little bit. I'll turn the master volume down just a bit. Just a smidgen. Actually, we'll go ahead and do 10%. That's normally what I run for talking on Discord. So yeah, here's the idea. We are doing I'll do a quick practice session so I can show you around the track. Yeah, 10 minutes, that's fine. So this is the Salvador Street Circuit. This is an actual street circuit that the Brazilian Touring Car Series, the Stock Car Series, I think is what it's called actually, used to run around. And I also think the big the Copa semi trucks used to race around here. But effectively, what this is this is like the jankiest of like cookie cutter, like let's just put a street course somewhere and hope for the best style tracks. And I love these sorts of tracks because this is what I grew up with. These are the sort of tracks you saw a lot in IndyCar and kart when that split was going on, or Champ Car, I suppose. And it's usually chaos. I seem to have no fire. What? Okay, flip the switch. There we go. So, coming out of the pit lane here, I'll just take you for a quick lap around the track. This will also be my test for the sound. Hopefully it's not too loud. So we're going to be driving this Ginetta. It is a P1 Gen 2 car for the Brazilian, I can't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's just the Brazilian Endurance Series. They've got a whole bunch of very strange prototypes, including this Ginetta, including some cars that have like DRS and like boost functions, and open cockpit prototypes. There's just a whole bunch of weird cars, along with your classic GT2 and GT3 and GT4 cars. And I have jumbled up this field to make sure that we have a great big mix of speeds and classes so that this race will be as chaotic as possible. Ooh, this thing needs a little bit more steering angle. Another car coming out of the pits here. That is the Sigma, one of the cars that have DRS. See, here in the Ginetta, we just got horsepower. Lots and lots of horsepower. And really good brakes. Holy crap. Okay. I need a little bit more steering angle, it looks like. But yeah, as you can see, this is a very, 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 very tight track with some really clumsy chicanes that you can imagine when trying to pass GT cars are going to be troublesome. But I love tracks like this because this is jank. This is pure jank. This is the sort of course that never should have existed, but they wanted to put it in a big market, like I assume Salvador is, big city. I need a lot more steering lock. Holy crap. Here's some of the lower class LMP cars we're coming up on. See, cars are continuing to leave the pits. These are, I believe, the LMP4 cars? Or P4, I guess. Not LMP, but P4. They're just barely faster than the GT4s. They're kind of like the prototype challenge cars, if you remember those from the American Le Mans series. Excuse me. Pardon me. I'm a P1 and I'm coming through. No? Okay. That's... Oh, well, I just killed a man. Nobody saw that. There was no murders in Brazil. Ow. Now I'm murdering myself. sneak on back to the pits. We'll get our setup changes that we want. The pits here are really weird and very, very claustrophobic. Of course, they were not built for 40 cars to be racing around here. So let's do that. Okay. Return to the pits. Let's take a look at our setup. So how far can we go on a tank of gas? Okay, we've got a 66 lap race. We are not going to be able to go the distance on a tank of fuel. But there is no point of filling the tank entirely up. Well, there might be. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if we can change tires and fill the car at the same time. And without knowing that, it might be a good idea to go ahead and do that. Steering lock, turn that up 24 degrees. Pit strategy. We are going to take what I'm calling option 1. We're going to change tires. Oh shit, I forgot to turn on the ability to put fuel in the car. Let me go fix that very quickly. In the meantime, time for a drink of Mountain Dew. Hello, Unleasher. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so let me fix that. Pit stop refueling enabled. And we now know that our class is gonna have a pit stop. So let's make the changes that we need to make to the setup, and then we will try to take it for a quick test drive, and then we'll start the race. And hopefully no more weird crap will befall me today. I guarantee it will. And hopefully I don't kill anybody like I did with the LMP or the P3 car. Yeah, that's going to happen a lot, I'm not going to lie. This track is very tight, and the AI... Automoblista 2's AI is decent. It's probably as good as any of the modern sims have it right now. But around tracks like this, it can still be a little bit clumsy. So, fill it full of fuel. Phone's mad at me because the battery's dying. Well, that could be a problem. Let's fix that very quickly, because I need that to see the chat. In fact, let's see if there's a better place I can put that so it's more in line with where my eyes are gonna be. How about there-ish? It might stay. That might work. Okay. Fire it up. I hope the sound is okay, because sound test earlier I had to turn the sound of the game down quite a bit compared to my voice. So, Unleasher, if you could, let me know how my voice compares to the sounds of the cars. If it's too loud, too quiet, whatever. And if anyone else has joined, thank you for stopping by. I'm going to be attempting a 100-mile multi-class race here around Salvador. It is a classic Brazilian touring car or stock car track that is no longer in use, but it is one of the, like, jankiest pseudo street courses you'll ever see. It reminds me a whole lot of the classic IndyCar and kart weird road courses. Or street courses, I should say. That they used to run around. might have put too much steering lock into this. I might need to tone it down just a little. As mentioned previously, if anyone has joined, we are driving the Jetta in the P1 class of the Brazilian Endurance Series. This is a real series, which is kind of sort of between LMP2 and 3. What we're driving, this Jetta, is technically the unlimited LMP, like, I think LMP2 track day car that somebody imported into Brazil to race in this series. And then also in our class, we've got, like, Brazilian-made prototypes that have DRS, and we also have a Ligier LMP3 car that's had its limiter taken off, so it's really fast and very agile around a track like this. And we also have these, the smaller, slower prototypes. We've got, that's an Aston Martin in front of us. I'm just gonna, whoa, thought about it. But, Mr. Aston Martin doesn't seem to know where he's going. Come on, Mr. Bond, let me by. Thank you. Get it around here. Actually, now that I'm starting to get used to it, I'm kind of liking this steering. So we'll roll with that. We are going to need a pit stop, and as you saw, the pit lane is actually kind of jank. We're probably going to get damage in this race. Just to be honest, I need to finish fixing the pit options. Thank you for reminding myself, Revz. There we go. Crank that wheel like Soja Boy. We're going to have to make a pit stop for fuel, very likely tires. There probably will be damage in this race, considering I already killed an LMP3 car, or a P3 car, in the practice. And this, the spread of the classes has been very heavily weighted towards the GT3 and GT4 cars. So I think we've got like seven or 8 prototypes in my class. The rest of the prototype classes have like 2 or 3, and then the GTs, I think it's like 9 and 7 or something like that. So, oh, I wasn't. I looked down at the chat at a bad time, smacked the wall because I'm an idiot. A couple, looks like McLarens in front of us. This car in front of us directly here, this is a really fascinating car. So this is a Formula 3 car that some Brazilian team rebuilt into a prototype a la the Formula 5000 Can-Am era style cars. And it's one of the reasons that, oh, excuse me. It's one of the reasons I really like seeing, like, content from other countries. Because in the US, a lot of the unique stuff is either locked away behind licenses like, NASCAR, or it is, I guess it's been sort of, oh, come on, McLaren, that was dumb. It's been sort of homologized, I guess, because, we don't really have Pirelli World Challenge anymore. That's now taken over by SRO, so all the weird and quirky cars like a 500 horsepower Kia Optima, that's not there anymore. It's just been replaced by GT3, which is fine because GT3 is very popular, but a lot of other countries, they still allow you to build your own race cars and compete, and I'd like to see more of that in video games because those are often the most interesting cars to drive. or to race against in this case, because I'm driving the Jetta here instead of the Sigma or the Metal Miru. I think that's how you say it. Probably absolutely butchering that. I apologize, Latinos, and those who speak Portuguese. And actually Spanish. I can't wait. Is Brazilian Portuguese or Spanish? I think it's Portuguese. I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm probably offending a whole bunch of people. I seem to be good at that. I apologize. Squeeze past the Jetta here if possible. He wants to go side by side. That was not smart. This is either a P3 or a P4 car. As you can see, this race is going to be chaos. We're all spread apart right now because it's just a practice session. Everybody's coming out at different points. But, practice pit entry one more time. Get the limiter on. Alright. Return to the pits. Let's finish the pit strategy. Option 1. Okay, so it's a 66 lap race. We are going to need to put some fuel into the car. We're going to be able to go, I think, 50 laps. So 20 laps worth of fuel, just to be safe. One of the UI annoying. Oh, I hope it lets me continue that. Okay, yes, it does. One of the... Okay, I didn't save anything. That's fine. One of the minor UI annoyances in Automoblista is that it doesn't... Like, this is in bar when I have everything else set to inch pounds. It also doesn't seem to want to let me raise it back up. Back. Okay, well that's a glitch to report to the forums. So lower those tire pressures a little, lower them a little in the front. Change the tires, 20 laps worth of fuel. Should be solid. Alright, let's get this party started. 100 miles of Salvador coming right up. Here's our field. So this is the Metal Miru I was talking about. Maru. It has multiple engine packages. So this has got the GTR engine in it. This has got a turbocharged K series, and this has an LS. This is that Ligier LMP3 car I was telling you about. We've got another one of these Jettas in here, and this is the Sigma. The Sigma is around the faster tracks, probably the fastest car in class. P2, we've got a handful of other Metal Mirus that are racing. These are all the turbocharged variant. This is an earlier version of the Sigma with a lower wing. It still has DRS, so that's also a very fast car for the P2 class. P3, we have a handful of different versions of the Metal Miru, as well as two of those Formula 3 style cars. And then we get into the GT cars. And as you can see, the P4 class is not quite fast enough to outrun a lot of the GT3s. In fact, I don't think the game obeyed my custom gridding procedure because I told it to make the... More bugs to report, yay! My favorite, especially considering I restarted the race twice. It should have done it. But anyway, we're going to have to deal with a lot of slower traffic, is my point. We've got quite an eclectic mix of GT cars. So, let's rock and roll. Gotta sneak around this final turn, and then we gotta figure things out for the chicane of death. Alright, car is gonna be very heavy on fuel. Ooh, that was a little bit spicy. Whew. Alright, so that was a pretty decent getaway. I got the Ligier and one of the Malamirus ahead of me here. Alright, let's sneak up the inside. There's a lot that happens in a lap around here. Gotta be careful jumping over the curves like that. It can give you track limit warnings. So, need to not do that as much as possible. But 100 miles of racing, 66 laps. It's gonna go by pretty quick on in this track. I do have yellow flags turned off. That might be a mistake. It is 100% possible that we will have a track blocking crash. Yes, Revz, speak English. Not redneckanese. You're gonna have a track blocking crash. My automobile casserole. Oh, sorry, I did not mean to do that. See how much bigger the wing is on that car compared to mine. This P1 class is very, very interesting with the cars that they let compete, because like that prototype in front, it may be like a national level homegrown car, but it is very, very high tech. As I said, the leader is starting to blast away from us here. That was the GTR powered one. He might be on a lighter fuel strategy. Revz-A has done a lot of work oh, okay, he's just gonna let me by. That was weird, but okay. Revz-A has done a lot of work with the AI to try to get them to behave a little bit more realistically in endurance races like this. In regards to fuel strategy. Also, especially when it comes to tires. So, I'm interested to see what the AI decides to do. I'm also interested to see if my tires are... I'm interested to see if pitting becomes a problem of trying to keep the tires alive or just running until the end of the fuel tank. And if that's a problem for me, how will that affect the AI? Get her tucked into the corner here. Some porta potties. People taking a dump, as you do. could have turned up the AI a little bit, but that's alright. Once we get into the traffic, that's when the chaos is going to start. And as you can see, we just about caught them. Oh, I overdid that a little bit. But that's my Janetta teammate there, I think, about to take the lead. So, Janetta, if you do not know, it is a British car manufacturer. They produce mostly like small kit-based race cars for beginners and intermediate level drivers. And I guess they technically have a ability to make LMP2 and 3 cars, but nobody uses them because the whatever brand it is the dominant one, and that's what everyone uses. So a lot, especially in national series like this Brazilian Endurance Series, you'll see a lot of odd cars that otherwise wouldn't make much sense. For example, there was a single Ligier running, or whatever it is, maybe it was a Gibson chassis, I don't remember. But there was a single other LMP2 that ran in IMSA last year. It was the red, white, and blue car that crashed constantly because their drivers were not very good. You can see that car had opened up its DRS temporarily. There are no rules in this series about when you can use the DRS, so they're free to use it whenever they want. But like with Formula 1, whenever you hit the brakes, it slams it shut to give you more downforce. My car, the Janetta, and the Ligier, the LMP3, does not have that. Start getting into the thick of it here. First of the GT4 traffic. I might be able to. Ooh, ow. A bit of argy-bargy. We're not going to be able to do this for the chicane. Wait. Patience is going to be the name of the game when going through this traffic. A BMW M4. Look at how much taller that car is compared to any of the things around it. Playing as McLaren? Not really. Well, actually, yeah, I forgot my name is actually McLaren this. So, yes, technically, yes. It used to be Fat Man from Kentucky, even though I'm not from Kentucky. In fact, it still might be that on the multiplayer side of things, so... Whoops. But no, this is... Oh, ow. This is not part of that lore series that I was talking about in the JDN stream. That will likely be only for Ruby. Remember, McClare, being immortal, is thousands of years old. She doesn't have time to play video games. Or the patience, likely. Excuse me. Oh, BMW about killed me. So, that yellow car ahead, that is the Janetta GT4. That is one of the smaller, kind of more interesting cars that Janetta makes. And this is... Oh, there is some... Ow, Janetta on Janetta violence going on. Turn on the headlights just to be a dick. Excuse me, I'm here. Don't kill me, please. Thank you. So far, so good. So, now the question of the day. When do we pit? We know we can run, according to the game, about 50 laps on a tank of fuel. So it makes sense if I'm putting 20 laps of fuel into the car again in the pit stop, I need to pit sometime between lap 20 and lap 50. And I assume it's going to be the same for many of the other cars, although there is no mandatory pit stop. So if a car has a bigger fuel tank or gets better fuel efficiency, it might be able to bip us. And I also, I have control here of the fuel mapping, so I can change how much horsepower the car is giving me. At any given moment. But I mostly use that as a tire conservation tool more than a fuel usage tool. I don't know. If there's only one pit stop, I don't really see much of a point in trying to conserve fuel because we're not going to make it to the end regardless. Ow. What would happen if you put Ruby in this car? Well, as of right now, or at least as of, well, that's a difficult question to answer because right now she would probably just not drive it. She'd be terrified. But in a few months, when Volume 1 actually releases and you're able to read that story and her evolution, she might not do horribly. Modern endurance cars are actually relatively easy to drive. They have power steering. This one obviously has traction control and anti-lock brakes, which make things a lot easier. But it's just the physical inertia, because right now I'm sitting in a chair with air conditioning and I've got a Mountain Dew here beside me. I'm under no real stress, and I'm able to drive this car relatively okay, minus smacking the wall whenever I look at chat. In reality, with all the downforce, the heat, the pressure to perform, I imagine it would be a lot different in reality. And that's something that sim racing is just never going to be able to properly simulate. Alright, now we're getting into a problem area. The GT3 cars around this track are not as fast as the P1s. Oh, this is gonna get bad. Yep. Knew that was gonna happen. They're not as fast, but they're just fast enough that it's almost... You really have to just commit to passing them. You have to get to that turn first. Otherwise, they're going to smash into the wall just like they did with my genetic teammate. See, it's starting to get... See, the time is starting to change a little bit. I turned up the time of... time changing settings, whatever it is, the multiplier. I may have turned it up a little too much. We'll see. This might accidentally end up being a 24-hour race. By the way, I think that has given me the lead right now. Oh, no. Come on. Now, I could just plow people out of the way, but I don't want to. I really want to try to do this somewhat legitimately. Okay, we got a McLaren ahead. Okay, this car in front of us with this low wing, this is the P2 version of the Sigma that I was talking about. That's really fast on the longer tracks. But here, it is overweight and it is clumsy, just like me. Honestly, that's the car I should have drove. And I have a problem. I can't shift. Uh-oh. Is that car damage related, or is that wheel not working related? Let's just see real quick. Okay. Yeah, so that must be car related. I've got gearbox problems. Because I cannot shift. Yeah, even manually clutch it doesn't work. That... Hoo-hoo. Oh, hold on. One more thing to check. I wonder if it went to my H pattern. Hold on, let's see. One moment. Screw that down a little. Ah! Why is that so tight? Okay, which one is it in? It is in sequential mode, so this should work. Yeah, it's not working here either. So the game has given me gearbox trouble. I cannot shift. That was not me, that was the wheel. Okay, something's wrong here. Hold on. Will, are we good? Are you overheating? That's fine. It's detecting the paddles. All the other switches are working. But you disconnected for a split second. Okay, well, it's... Apologies. That's probably going to take some people out of the experience a little bit, but there's nothing I can do about that, because I do want to make sure that my wheel isn't about to die. That would suck, considering how much these cost. Okay. So, what to do now? Well, I gotta get to lap 20 to get the fuel in the car. If we pit, let me... Uh-oh. Alright, I've lost transmission entirely now, so we're coasting. By the way, this is something that can happen. This happens in real life all the freaking time. So let's get into the box. Hopefully this is something my team can repair. I'm gonna shut off the engine. If not, this might be race over. But this is one of the cool things about AMS2. Random failures like this, not only do they happen, but the fact that this is being simulated in the game, that is cool. Okay, let's restart the engine. Alright, I have gears again. Get restarted here. Alright, we definitely lost some time. That's the first time that's ever happened to me with one of the modern cars, because most of the time it's the older cars where you have problems like that occur. So what would have, I mean, in real life, what would have happened, right? A lot of these modern cars, the computer, everything that is necessary to handle like shifting is inside the steering wheel. So, or connected directly to the steering wheel, like it has a chip in it that the car has to detect before it will allow you to... Oop, sorry about that. I'm just gonna... Oop, don't mind me. So, in a pit stop, what they would do, obviously, the first thing they would try is to take the steering wheel off and put a new one on to see if that would allow the car to shift. Also, fuses. Real-life race cars have a crap ton of fuses. So that would be the second thing that they try, is to see, okay, did something electronically go wrong? But we're back in this race. Which is good, because this string, I swear, if 66 lap race, if lap 16 we have a problem. I wish I might pass this on to the team at Revz-A. I would wish that it gave me like a pit crew message or something to let me know that that wasn't my wheel. But especially considering the whole first like 20 minutes of the stream is me troubleshooting things here going wrong. So whatever. Onward. We got a lap to make up here. And now, let's see, how far did I make it? Oh, I might need to start saving fuel, actually, because I pitted earlier than expected. I'm gonna have to make up that lap. Yeah, you know what? Let's put the fuel down to low and let's start lifting and coasting. Because if we can, I don't want to pit again. But there's no telling if that problem might come back. So we'll see. That's cool. That is very cool. It's frustrating, but man, when they get the career mode, smack the wall. When they get the career mode sorted for this, and that's like a key part of the game, that's gonna be super cool. I have to go back and watch the stream when I'm done and see what I did to cause the shifting problem. Oh, sorry BMW, I did not mean to do that. So if you're an F1 fan, you may see that blue flag thing and think, oh, you need to move aside. Not in endurance racing. The blue flag is only a notification that there's a faster car behind you. And technically it's because I just got my lap back passing the leader. At least the car, I think it was the leader when I had my trouble. Okay. Now, one thing I told the pit crew and the pit setup to lower the air pressures in the tires. Now, that makes some sense. For whatever reason, AMS2 likes to pump the tire pressures way, way up in a lot of cars. But when you're pitting, especially like under darkness, in an endurance race, you want the tire pressures to be lower because you need the tires to build up heat faster. It might be a little ow, pain, ow, smacked. It was probably a little early to put those tires on, but I really didn't have a choice. So yeah, I much prefer the blue flag rules in endurance racing as well. It is much more natural, I think. I gotta remember to lift and coast a little bit here. Gotta save fuel. One of the things they're planning on doing here in the next year or so, Revz-A, is making these tracks feel a lot more alive with a lot more dynamic things. So you can see there's all these camera flashes now. That's a new thing that they've been implementing over the last few patches. Very, very cool. If you go to like if you go to the Nürburgring, especially the new Nürburgring, there's like a massive DJ party that only happens in the night. I think only in the summer season as well. But it's really cool, all the lasers flying through the air and stuff. Music playing, although I've turned all that down, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. It's very cool. Revz-A put a lot of detail into these games. Alright. Sorry. They're going a little slower than I expected there. Prototype. Just sneak on by. I want to try to keep the leader behind me if at all possible, but I also do not want to ruin these guys' race. This really does give you a lot of respect for people that do this for a living, because there's a lot to think about. Meep meep. Excuse me. Pardon me. Coming through. Oh. So, some other random failures that can happen. Your car can lose a turbocharger. That is something that can happen if your car is turbocharged, of course. You can lose a wheel. Like you saw, the car can just stop shifting, although I'm very, very surprised. Because, like I said, that normally happens on the older cars, like the 90s Formula 1 cars. The P2 is very impatiently flashing to get past the GT3 Porsche here. I'm going to slip by them both. We've also got this McLaren. We're going to follow through on the GT3 or GT4 cars. Whoop. Right on through. There we go. Excuse me. One thing I really, really like about AMS2, a lot, especially in the older Project Cars games, which this kind of is a spiritual successor of, Project Cars was really, really bad about mixing cars that don't have headlights into classes with cars that do have headlights. The GTO class probably being the prime example of that. So if you tried to do an endurance race like this, you would have a whole bunch of cars with headlights, and you go, yeah, that's right, you know, you're going into the darkness, that makes sense. And then you would come across, like, a Nissan with no headlights at all, or the Audi, and it has no headlights at all, and you're just like, why? Why did you do this? I'm hoping that is something that doesn't happen in Project Motor Racing, because, of course, that's made by the same people. Although it looks like they're going to do it right. Austin Oganowski, if you know him, he's a sim racing YouTuber. He's also the lead developer of Project Motor Racing. He mentioned on the forum that what's one of the reasons they separated the GTP class and the Group C class, classic GTP, of course, because the GTP cars were obviously built more for sprint races than they were endurance races, while the GT3 or the Group Cs were built more for the 1,000-kilometer races. So very, very cool. GTPs often didn't have headlights because they didn't race into the darkness. I really wish AMS2 would do the same, because we have a Corvette and a Porsche in the Group C class that are effectively GTP cars. The Corvette raced at Le Mans, which is why it's here. But you could split those cars off, have a GTP, a proper GTP class, and then in the future add more. Like you could put the Aston Martin into the Group C class. You could put the Jaguar, if we ever get the Jag, into the Group C and the GTP class. The Silk Cut cars would obviously go to Europe, and then the Castrol cars would go to the States. I don't know. I'm just kind of talking about what I'd like to see. Speaking of what on the subject of speaking of what what I'd like to see, if you don't know, AMS2 looks like it's going to be getting a stock car update in the not too distant future. One of the cars that's going to be included is the modern, like, next gen, or an analog to the modern Gen 7 NASCAR. So one of the first things I want to do, if you've read the Adventures of Ruby Starfire comic, you know that there's a race between Connor Zillage and SVG driving a modern NASCAR versus what I guess would be the last generation, previous generation, V8 supercar. And I'd be very curious to do that in this game to see how that plays out, because we have both, or we will have, both of those cars. SVG is absolutely a road racing god, but I think Connor Zillage and the slightly more powerful, slightly more downforce car could probably take him. And that McLaren is screwed. Holy crap, he hit something hard. Meep meep. Excuse me. Let's pretend I'm a fish and I'm flowing past you. There we go. I should have put the GT Open cars in here too. AMS2 also has the British GT Open class, which is like, right now it's only 2 cars. It's the Ginetta G55 GT3 and the Ultima GTR, which is a badass car. I love the Ultima. But they match up very, very well with the Gen 1 GT3s. The Gen 2, not so much, because a lot of those cars are Evos, or Evolution versions of the GT3 cars, so they're a little faster, and they have different tires. They have more modern Michelins, where these are on Pirellis. Actually, they might be on a mixture of tires. Oh, hello. Alright, it looks like I've gained a position from a car in the pit stop. Or maybe he had a problem too, we don't know. But we're nearing halfway. This This might end up being a 24-hour race by mistake. Oh, hello. My temperatures seem a little bit high. I just realized, about 200 degrees. I wonder if that might be something to do with our transmission problem earlier, because I wasn't paying attention. Usually the temps go down in the night, though, so we should be okay to keep pushing. This might be for positions. Let's try to sneak past this guy. Nope, not gonna happen. I don't have a flash button on my wheel, so just have to do with turning on and off the lights. It's returning the favor. Oh Ferrari, if you happen to see this stream, and I know you won't because, you know, y'all are rich, please bring your cars to this game especially. I know you're mad because we used, you know, some analogs of Ferraris, but for fuck's sakes, this game is amazing. Well, that was risky. I shouldn't have done that on pit exit. That was... You know, I'm not doing a good job of saving fuel either. Alright, so here's my question. At this point, considering what's happened, should I consider pitting just for a splash of fuel? That car has no lights. What happened? My BMW has obviously smacked something. Nope. No, it's just the game being weird. Okay. Do I pit for just a splash of fuel to make sure I can get it to the line? Or should I just, you know, whatever I have is what I have and I gotta deal with it? I think what I have is what I have and I gotta deal with it. Ow. A little bit of frame rate screwery going on. I don't know what that's about. Ow. I mean, I know there's more lights that you gotta render, but man, this track looks so much better than it used to. A lot of these buildings used to not be lit up. There used to not be spotlights or anything. It was just like these lights, the ones that just kind of illuminate the track. So it was dark as hell. You couldn't see the skyline. You couldn't see anything. And they have done just wonders making this track much better at night. You can almost race around this track without headlights, but do not be fooled, because if I shut these off, yeah, you can see a little bit, but you can't see a lot. Alright, so here's one of the AI glitches that happens occasionally. So what's happened here is that one of these cars in this train is slower than all of the others for one reason or the other. It's just the driver's going slower, or he's got some sort of problem, or something or other. And the AI cars behind him have gotten so close by drafting, or just, you know, that's where they've happened to fall. They can't actually get past. They can't, like, they don't think they have enough room to pull out and try to pass. And this has been a constant problem in AMS2. That once the AI gets within a certain distance of each other, until something comes through and splits them up, like a faster class car, they don't get out of line, which is strange. Modders, lap 31 is yeah, sorry, I see this now on lap 33. We are now halfway, by the way. Modders have found a way to spread the fields apart a little bit more with the AI profiles for all the cars. So every car has a driver that is associated with it. Whether that's a real driver or a fake driver, or maybe a pool of drivers. So, for example, the GTP cars, the endurance racing prototypes, the hypercars, the modern GTP cars, all the drivers that are associated with that team and the IMSA series can appear as a driver. So you might have Nick Tandy in one time, you might have, you know, someone else in the same car, depending on how that race was loaded. There is a ton of generic profiles just for the cars that obviously they're not a part of a licensed series, so they don't have the real drivers driving that car. There's a bunch of AI profiles in Automoblista 2 that I think their profiles are not developed or finished developing yet. So they're very, very similar. And if a whole bunch of those profiles get together in that sort of conga line, that's when that problem arises. Because if you've got a whole bunch of, like, especially in the GTP series, the endurance cars, if you get a whole bunch of high-end drivers nose to tail, they do the same thing. But if you mix some of the slower drivers up in front and then let them get spread out, that doesn't happen. It's one of the reasons I typically don't do qualifying in this, because the game does a better job of just splitting everyone apart. But it's just one of the things this game, I mean, it's a full game that you can buy, but Revz-A has made it absolutely clear that they're going to continue developing it into the foreseeable future. So, if you like what you're seeing, and if you're an endurance racing fan, you definitely should, although the frame rate is still a little questionable, you should check this game out, especially next time it's on sale. There's a lot of DLC. They've recently done a thing to sort of conglomerate all the DLC to make sure you can get it cheaper. Highly, highly recommend this game. I'm not sure if that is the stream causing frame rate issues or if that's the game. Oh, ow. I smacked the Sigma. Swing back around the outside of him. There's no place to go because Porsche and Jeanette are having an argument. The Porsche has clearly had an accident because its bumper is hanging off. So we're gonna just, oh shit, there's a curve there. Okay, we're fine. That could also just be the amount of extra lights they've added to the circuit. Because it's been a long time since I've raced here in the dark. In fact, it would have been 1.4, I we're now on 1.6. So down to a burning ring of fire. There's that BMW with the light glitch again. That's just an LOD thing. That's another thing that I can report to the devs once this race is over. It's just when you're farther away, it's loading in a lower poly version, and I guess the lights are not included on those lower poly versions. Whoopsie! I know it's just because it's a madness game, but this gives me real like Need for Speed Shift 2 vibes. You just need the help is on the way to really sell that. It still has that really cool, like, slightly grungy in the dark vibe. Makes this game feel like a horror game. Just a little bit. Watch, I'm going to get copyrighted for that. Whoop. 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 Alright, Janetta. What the heck? That was a weird shadow glitch. Another one to add. I have to make a highlight reel of all the weird stuff I've seen in this race. You know, I imagine the YouTube bit compression is not loving this. So, if you're staying here with me, I appreciate it. And if it's too dark and you can't see anything, open your eyes. It tends to help. I'm joking, of course. Please don't cancel me. By the way, that car, the one we just passed, that Audi, that is a Gran Turismo callback to the gay German dude. I forget his name, the one that crashes at Le Mans. He drove an Audi that was very colorful, just like that one. back up on the Aston Martin. Get it in, get it in, get it into the apex. Alright, lap 41, so we've got about 30, or no, 20. 22 laps to go. Like I said, this race will go by relatively quickly. But as you can see, it has been action-packed. You can see that's that same pack of cars, and now that, you know, traffic has split them up a little bit, they're racing much more convincingly now. This is one of the Porsches that's had a problem. My frame rate's still having an issue in that turn for whatever reason. And I think that is another one of the P1 cars that I am racing for position, so I'm just gonna... Not want to give up. He will not die. He'll just murder me instead. Got nowhere to go. Try to follow him through. This right here is where AMS2 is at its best. When you just put a whole bunch of different styles of car on the track, and the AI and you have to just figure it out. And 9 times out of 10, it does a pretty decent job. Oh, this is a cluster ahead. What? This was... Oh, God. Ow. There's some argy-bargy. Going for it. Ow. Made it. I'm pretty sure I would be getting an angry phone call from the stewards on that one. But we made the pass stick and we're good. I once did a full-length race with my buddy Inferno acting as a crew chief, and that was really, really fun. I need to see if I could tag him into doing one of these again with me. Although, me and Inferno do talk about some pretty unhinged things sometimes, because we're both funny like that, so... We're back up to 4th in class, the 4th overall, after the transmission trouble we suffered around lap 16. Race went into the dark around lap 31. We had to pit a little bit earlier than we wanted to, so running lean fuel mixture, trying to save some fuel for the end. But so far so good. I am really impressed because in practice races I did here a couple nights ago, I had one of the reasons I turned off yellow flags is I had constant yellows, constant problems with cars like crashing in, you know, crashing, spinning out, doing all that fun jazz. The AI has been very, very well behaved, minus silly things like that. Whenever the 2000s era LMP cars come out, I would really like to do the race of the century. If you don't know what that was, in 1999, the American Le Mans Series went to Adelaide to do a race on New Year's Eve that was supposed to end on at midnight. So the race was supposed to run until midnight, and it would be the only race that started in one year and finished in the next, which would be really freaking cool. But apparently the locals were so just irate by the idea of an endurance race going on in the middle of the night that they completely shut it down. They had to stop the race a couple hours early. I do not appreciate that. Prototype, little prototype. See, the frames are still a suggestion at the moment. Hopefully. I think what it is where there's cars, obviously, in that section of track, there's cars within rendering distance as they shoot past, just to our left. So they're probably rendering and unrendering the cars as fast as possible, and that's probably slowing things down in that turn. Because on the outside, you really don't see them all that much, and you see the frame rate's much higher. That's what I think is going on. But yeah, I really want to do that race and actually have it end at midnight. I might actually do it on New Year's. That would be really cool, wouldn't it? Have the race end exactly at midnight. That might be something where I obviously I'm not going to cosplay as Ruby because I'm, not a woman, but I am not Australian, nor am I a woman, so I will not embarrass myself to that level. But that might make a very good stream. I don't know, maybe I can hire an Australian voice actress to just be like a VTuber for a day. Just pretend like you're driving this car while I do it, alright? Have fun. Or hell, maybe they're actually... If you are a black-haired Australian actress that is really good at sim racing, give me a call. We might actually do that. That'd be fun as heck. It's really funny because someone pointed out to me, it was like, you know what you do for a living, Revz, right? You drive a van around hundreds of miles a day to come home and drive virtual race cars for hundreds of miles a day. When does the driving stop? It's just drivingception with you. And I'm like, well, I like driving. What can I say? I write stories about racing. I like, back when I was able to, when my heart could take it, I loved going to races. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do that again. We'll see. But, I just love racing. It's in my blood. And it's weird because everyone in my family is like the most anti-racing, like, people you could ever imagine. My dad's a lawyer. My mother, my biological mother, was also a lawyer for a while, and then she moved into like sales management. And unfortunately, she was one of the victims of the fad, the very deadly fad known as OxyContin, which, if you're American, you know what that means. She became a bit of a bipolar crazy person that was made worse by the drugs, and eventually she just kind of removed herself from my life with much effort. So what I'm trying to say here is nothing in my family legacy, family life points to me liking racing, but for some reason I just always have. I remember when I was younger, I watched my first NASCAR race, And I remember seeing Jeff Gordon. This is back when he was running the Rainbow Warriors paint job, and I just love that car. I was like, that's really cool. And ever since that point, I was obsessed with Jeff Gordon. I thought he was just this really cool, bigger than life person. And then years and years later, when I finally actually get to meet him at the Kentucky Speedway, he's like 4'9", like just this tiny dude, and I'm like, holy shit, you're small. He didn't like that very much, but it was true. I'm sorry, I'm brake checking people, reminiscing about meeting Jeff Gordon. But I got a whole new respect for Casey Kane too, because after the race, he was the only person that like said, nah, I'll catch the next helicopter out of here, because he wanted to continue signing people's hats and just like shaking hands with people, and people were just giving him beers and stuff. Like, Casey Kane is the most base dude ever. Also, I've had the chance to hang out with Helio Castroneves a couple of times. He is a really, really cool dude. Absolutely someone deserving to be a four-time Indy 500 championship, you know, or champion. Not championship, but champion, because that's a race, not a championship. Revs, get it right. He's supposed to be the racing historian. Skeet. Why did I say that? That's fucking stupid. Whatever. Just ignore you heard that, please. I need a... Whenever the Revs has no filter, I need a Revs has no filter button. It just plays a beep sound. So whenever I say something just completely unhinged, it's like a burp burp. And train myself not to do that. Especially if I ever want to get a job on the radio. Because people don't like it when you call them a cunt. Oh, we got another cluster up here. Uh-oh. Here we go. This is another... Oh, ow. He just... Okay, sorry. He smacked the wall and I just drove underneath of him. Just, swinging it on in here. Excuse me, Mr. Porsche. Okay, so remember what I said about the AI? So all of these prototype cars all have probably a very similar AI like skill level, and they're all being held up by one P4 car at the front of this field. It is a mixture of P2, 3, and 4 in this line, and they're all being held up by one car. Oh shit. I think I just lost some body work. Also, I have some engine damage. I don't know how that happened. Ow. Oh, shit. Ow. Do you mind? Okay, I don't have any headlights anymore. That's a problem. Now, in reality, this would be a big no-no. In reality, I think I would be forced to pit, and I have no front downforce lift because of that now. Uh-oh. But I could still see, question mark. Oh, I have no turning now. You can see how dark it is in some places. Yeah, I don't. Let's make the Just arrow. I'm gonna lose a lot of time if I pit, but alright. But I'm pretty sure without headlights, in reality, you would get a smacking for trying to race at night. Because it's very, very dangerous. So, to continue with the bit, here's the thing, alright? This is one of those things that the AI will not do. The AI will not pit because they don't have lights. So I am doing this solely for roleplay purposes. Oh! Okay, nobody saw that. Nobody saw me spin and eat shit in the pit lane. Alright. So the good thing of this massive car is, as annoying as it is that this is a problem, and actually now it's the Sigma P2. Or, yeah, it is. It's holding everybody up. Why did you do this to me? Why do I cry? God, that is an ancient meme. Yeah, either the Sigma... Okay. I kind of understand what's going on now. The Sigma is slow as hell in the turns. So everyone's getting caught up behind him, but he's fast enough in the straights that nobody can get around him. So everyone's just getting clogged up behind him. And like I said, once you get to a certain point where the cars are close enough together, they just can't pass. That's funny. You know, why didn't I just get a splash of fuel while I was in the pits? Revz. You may have done some dumbassery there, but that's fine. I got 10 laps to figure it out. All the frames. Frames. Crank that baby like soldier boy. I really do like the animated, like the people on the sides of the track and taking pictures and stuff. That's cool. Am I okay? Ish. I don't know how far back you are, like lag-wise, so... I'm not very good at talking while driving. That's one of the reasons I kind of want to do these streams a little bit. Just to get some practice in doing this. Trying to think on the fly while driving is very, very difficult. So, that's kind of why I ramble a little bit. Make random noises. Say stupid things, because it's the first thing that pops into my head and I think it'll be funny. Because I have the maturity of a squirrel. So, yeah, don't mind me, is what I'm trying to say. 10 laps to go. Come on. been a long race. It's been full of problems. Let's see how dirty the car has gotten out. It's another one of those things that they're constantly working on, because originally that was only for the GT1 cars. And actually, the windshield is supposed to be getting dirty, but as you can see, it's not really getting dirty yet. But with the GT1 cars, it absolutely does. The windshield will get dirty over the course of a race. But the body of the car, you can see, is filthy, and it would be in real life, because it would be getting constantly hit by debris from the tires and all this other stuff. Excuse me. Excuse. Thank you. Beep beep. Hello, Mr. Audi. Actually, that might not be the Gran Turismo car. I remember it was white and it had some like rainbow features, but I don't remember the big slash on the front. And also, he just lost his headlights smacking the wall, so... Again, the AI will not pit for light failures, which is... The rules of endurance racing technically say, oh, I don't know why you did that, but that was dumb on your part. I do not know... yes, the rules of endurance racing technically say that you have to have at least one working light on the front and one working light on the back. That's obviously for safety reasons, because you can't see in reality with headlights. If you've ever turned your headlights off going down the highway just to see what it's like I can see everything and now I can't. It's quite an alarming feeling. But in a video game, you can get away with a lot more. And especially around a city track like this one, there's enough light from like spotlights for the spectators and stuff, and other cars going around the track that you can see. But I definitely think that that is something that future games, I don't know if AMS2 will ever be able to fix that, but future games, that is something I would love to have fixed. Project Motor Racing, you know, hey guys. In fact, this is the car that I think I lost the position to when I had to come into the pits, so we might be able to... Excuse me? Yes? Hello, I am under the water. And away we go. Ha! On the podium. 6 laps to go. I hope I have enough fuel, because I am not sure at this point. I see a BMW again. Hello, friend. Please don't murder me and use your turn signals correctly. Da-na-na-na. Oh, God. Okay, we're good. Looking at my... Oh. That was a bad time to look at my tire temps, but looking at my tire temps, it definitely looks like the fronts are a little bit hotter than the backs, and that might be the understeer I'm feeling. Especially around the slow speed. Although I do think we're going to make it with only 5 laps with extra fuel. We'll go ahead and raise it back up. I might live to regret this. Not mean to do that, but it worked. Run away. Run away, Dixieland. I wish I was in Dixie. Hooray, oh shit. Ow, ow. You know, the American Civil War Dixie is one of the most amusing songs because it is like there was two versions of it. Obviously, there was the Union and the Confederate version, and they were both sung simultaneously. So you could literally have two like armies charging into battle at each other. You know, stand 15 feet away from each other to shoot each other, and they're both singing the same song, just slightly different versions, which is really funny. Hello. I'm here to have a conversation with my fist. I'm gonna hit the wall again. Yeah, you can see just the... Every time you go into that turn, because it's on the inside and you can see the cars on the outside of the first sector of the track. The frame rate just kind of chugs a little bit because it's night and everyone's got their lights on. It's fine in the day, and it's probably fine with less cars, and it's fine when I'm not streaming, so I can drive around it. I have been. Although I guarantee you, if I had my VR on right now, I would be sick as a dog. Hello, Mr. Formula 3 car, if you don't mind, just let me by. But, okay, going back to this track for a minute, Salvador, as you can see, a lot of fun. I've been having a great time racing around here. Could you imagine showing up here to watch the Copa trucks, the giant semis, race around here? That would be a blast. AMS1 had the full rule set with the Copa trucks. So at certain points of the track, right, they would have a box. And through that box, they would have to slow down to a specified speed. Usually it was like, 40 miles an hour, something around the pit speed limit. AMS2 does not have that functionality because I guess the actual series went bust, and so they don't technically have the license anymore for it. But they have, the vast majority of the trucks and the vast majority of the tracks for it. So, I don't know. I feel like at certain places, like, they probably didn't have to deal with the chicanes. They probably had, like, they could straight line the chicanes, but the chicanes were probably the places where they had those boxes and they had to slow down to, like, 60 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour, however fast it was. Because otherwise, if you're racing, 1,400 horsepower semi, and you hit a Jersey barrier at, 100 miles an hour, that Jersey barrier is not going to stop it. Am I fighting these guys for the lead? Are these the leaders? Oh God. Well, I hope not. Ow. Because they're not going to like me too much. Excuse me. Pardon me. Oh God, I just spun him. Plus side, they weren't the leaders, they were technically a lap down. But I am driving a bit like an asshole now that the race is coming to an end. So let's tone down the assholery. Excuse me. Pardon me. Oh! Well, that was dumb. I just barely clipped the edge of that wall. Well, I can't tell you how many times I have done that same thing, but with the back wheels when driving Indy cars here. But Yeah, let's just go ahead and stay out. I think finishing the race with 1 lap to go with no lights would be acceptable, considering, you know. Oh, you had an opportunity. Okay, well, fine. Give me a 5-second penalty. It's fine. But this has been a very, very enjoyable race. I hope you've enjoyed my rambling. I hope you've enjoyed the chaos of trying to work through traffic here. I would like to do more full distance races like this in the future. The only reason I'm streaming today, obviously today's Monday, usually I plan on streaming on Wednesdays, is because I took the day off work and I was bored. So, but I would like to do more like long distance races on stream, and I would love to do this for charity. If I don't know how to set that up. So if there's anyone out there that could give me like a walkthrough or something on how to set up a charity stream, I would love to do that. But there we go. That was 100 miles in Brazil. And we ended up finishing second there. I don't know how, but I'll take it. As you can see, I probably could have turned up my difficulty a little bit, but that's alright. It made for an exciting race. See, some of the lapped cars finished 8 laps down. 8 or 9. Yeah. But yeah, I love Automoblista too. If you're an endurance racing fan and you don't have Automoblista 2, you absolutely should get it. It is so much fun. I'll go ahead and head back to the menu here. And we'll probably wrap things up.